I'm not a gooner.
I solemnly swear I am not a gooner.
Welcome to the Variety Voiceover Nerdcast. This week, 2 geeks level up. But first, I'm your host, Derek Yarnovic, joined by my co-host,
Camden Parsons.
What's up, buddy?
Level up. I'm not too bad. How are you, man?
I'm doing okay. My voice is gonna reflect. I've been sick this past week and a little under the weather, but other than that, right now I'm on the mend and feeling better.
Nice. I like feeling better.
I think everyone likes to feel better. Like, I don't think anyone enjoys being sick.
My buddy Dave likes being sick. He's always talking about how like the coarse feeling in his throat makes him feel alive, and he loves calling off work.
I'm so nervous to call off work.
Me too.
Like,
I've only called off, I think, 3 times in the 2 years I've had the job that I have now. 2 of which were because I rolled my ankle. I rolled the same ankle twice in like the course of like a couple months, and it hurt really bad. Like, it was like triple the size. I had to put it up and put ice on it.
Oh, we sprained a witch.
Oh, I might have. I didn't go to the hospital for it.
You probably sprained it, yeah.
Maybe. That shit's expensive.
Yeah.
And the last time I had a life-altering event happen, of which I feel as though I should not discuss.
Oh, I know about the event.
Yeah, and it was so I had to come to terms with that, so I called off the next day. I also didn't get to bed until like 3 a.m. the night before. And
it was a good call. It was a good call. But I feel like if I was in a similar situation, I would absolutely call it off the next day.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I digress.
Yeah, sorry. Right off rip, we're already distracted.
Right off the rip. I mean, kind of going into there, we're kind of stemming away from news.
Yeah, we're going to try and pivot away from that.
I think that it's run its course. We tried it.
Maybe if big stuff comes up here and there, we can go back to it. But for the most part, we're trying to step away from that.
But we do have an email.
We have our first viewer sent in email. Why don't your host this week? You want to read it out for us?
Yeah, I sure do. So let me go ahead and pull that up here. We got an email from Michael.
Michael, we know Michael. Hi, Michael.
And it reads, "Hey guys, great show. I love listening to every episode multiple times at work. Your personalities really come through, and I feel as though if I know you personally, your friend
That's
Mike."
so silly for you to say because you do know us personally, Michael. You silly goose.
And then your Mike that you mentioned sounds like an interesting guy. Yeah.
Oh, Mike, you silly goose. You are Mike.
Can't imagine why. He recommended Kingdom Come and Dark Phoenix Saga.
Not only did he recommend them, he got them for us.
He literally bought the copies. He said, what great taste this guy has. Keep up the great work. You know what, Michael? We will keep up the great work.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the encouraging words. Thank you for using our podcast as a platform to pat yourself on the back.
I apologize.
You made us laugh so hard you almost killed Derek.
Oh, I'm on the edge. But anyway, honestly, thank you for emailing in. I know that it was a joke, everything like that, but it's genuinely appreciated.
Yeah, it's nice to hear the support, and having something to read off the air, it makes us feel more official. You listen to viewer submitted podcasts all the time. I really, really like the Invincible podcast. I've listened to almost every single episode of it. I know we didn't get very far at all before.
We're how
8
long?
episodes in. We were about 4 minutes into this episode, and I've already mentioned Invincible. You're welcome. Yeah. Anyway, the Invincible podcast is really, really good, and I've listened to almost every single episode. And they always start off with some viewer submitted emails, and it's really cool, hearing what the community thinks, And we haven't done enough yet to really properly garner a community, which is okay, Start to start, we're just doing this because it's fun, not because we're trying to get bigger and like that. So it is cool, But having that little bit of community engagement, even if it is just a single email from somebody we know, it just makes it feel that much more official. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I do appreciate it, especially because we have conversations with Michael pretty much.
Michael's essentially the secret third member of this podcast. Yeah. He's given us a lot of input. The books, like I said so far, I think, didn't he tell you to recommend For Your Into Me?
No.
Oh, we were talking about it. He's seen it. And you said last time that you hadn't, so I thought maybe he'd suggest
He might have said something in that regard, but that's not why it influenced me.
Okay.
To give you.
Well, he did influence me to do Kingdom Come and the Dark Phoenix Saga.
Yeah,
so
I can't imagine why.
But yeah, great guy, and lots of input from him has gone into the show. So it's really grateful to hear him get a chance to actually be on the show in the case of that email.
I feel like I'm going to sneeze.
Don't sneeze on the mic. Don't sneeze on the mic, please.
My nose is edging me.
Oh, don't say that. Don't make eye contact with me and tell me you're being edged. Was that a sneeze?
No. So laughing is not helping my
You
bronchitis.
need to be blessed by a priest.
Oh, I've had priests do things to me.
Okay, all right. What is it, Scoutmaster Kevin?
Yes, Scoutmaster Kevin. But anyway, I feel like no segue needed. We're gonna go into our main topic today. Kind of off the bat, we might have a little bit of a shorter episode today, just because we're getting rid of the news. We're
figuring things out.
We're figuring things out still. But not our first topic, but our topic today is going to be talking about video games. We're going to send them off, and we're doing a variety of things. And
a variety
of a voiceover.
They said the thing.
But basically, it's going to be, I would like to talk about your perspective on, we'll start off by, what was the first video game that you can remember playing that like you were genuinely into?
That I played myself?
Played or watched?
Because, well, that's the thing is, I feel like I owe my dad so much, dude. Every time we ever talk on this podcast about anything, it's like, oh, we're growing up my dad. Because my first thoughts. My dad was always into video games. He grew up on them. So obviously when we were kids, he had a whole bunch of stuff. We actually, you remember GameFly?
Yeah.
We had GameFly, dude. GameFly was awesome.
That was awesome. That was the Netflix before the Netflix, right?
Pretty much, but like it's especially for
video games.
For video games.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as far as like the first thing that was like introduced to me, I don't know off the top of my head. It might have been, I do have like distinct memories of watching my dad play Legend of Zelda Wind Waker at one point. I don't know if that's my oldest memory with video games or not. But as far as like the first thing that I've ever played for myself was I can't remember for sure which one it was, but it was either Lego Batman on the Xbox 360, or Nicktoons Attack of the Toy Bots on the Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
Because the Game Boy Advance was the first console I ever owned myself. Like, we had an Xbox 360 in my house, and I think my dad actually used to have his old, I don't remember if it was an NES or SNES. But we had that in the house, but we weren't allowed to touch it, which is a good call. He had the original like gold cartridge for the original Legend of Zelda, which is pretty cool. I just remembered that. But yeah, one year for, I think it was Christmas, my dad got me and my brother Game Boys, and he got a silver one, and I got a blue one. His had Sonic the Hedgehog with it, like the original one, which actually I still have. I have his Game Boy and Sonic the Hedgehog in that closet right there.
Yeah.
I also have my blue Game Boy and Nicktoons Attack of the Toy Bots in that closet right there, which is
That's
crazy.
awesome.
I still have both of our first consoles.
That's awesome. I really wish I would have had a lot of like the consoles that I grew up with, but basically my first introduction into video games was like the Nintendo 64. It was Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, nice. What was that one? Was that the original Smash?
It was the original Smash, I think.
Nice.
And I remember watching my uncle play it and like playing with it and doing all those kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had older brothers growing up, and they had like little game nights, and they had a bunch of like games and stuff like that they would play on the 64. I really enjoyed watching those games and playing them. Even up through the most. My brother would never let me play any of the games.
Older brother?
Older brother.
I had the same thing.
I would say he was I think he's 6 years older than I am. But he would never let me play.
Mine's only 2.
And he would never let me really watch. And that was like the big thing. Because I remember wanting to watch him play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Which
is your brother's name Ben by chance?
No.
Oh, okay. Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Because actually, it's kind of messed up. I was going for the Ben drown bit, but how messed up would it have been if like, no, he's actually dead? Yeah, I'd been like, oh,
he works at
did
Walmart.
He drown? Oh, does he?
Yeah. I remember a lot of times that I would like watch from the outside, like through a fucking window, just like.
I did something like that once.
Yeah.
One time I got in real bad trouble at school. I don't remember what it was I did, and my dad grounded me for a week. But that week was the 50th anniversary special for Doctor Who, which is this like huge event. It had the 10th and 11th Doctor together and the War Doctor. It was a huge thing, and I was so excited to watch it. And he was like, "Well, now you can't because you misbehaved at school." And I was like, "Dad, I understand I'm in trouble. I understand. Punish me all you want. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Don't take it from me." He's like, "You should have behaved in school."
Oh,
so he went because he was a huge fan of Doctor Who. Who got me into it. So he went and sat in the living room and just watched it. And the way the house was set up was like there was from left to right, the living room, the kitchen, a hallway, and our room was at the end of it. So and the way the TV was set up, it was perfectly in the doorway. So I just quietly stepped out.
You peep and Tom'd your
for like
Doctor
it was like
Who?
an hour-long special or so. I watched probably about 45 minutes of it, just squatted next to the couch before my dad got up to get snacks and realized I was there.
What's up, homie?
So I missed the first maybe like 5 minutes and the last like 10 minutes probably.
Yeah, that's wild.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Sorry.
But either way, it's interesting to hear about like the time frame because like it brings a lot of perspective on how video games are kind of like timeless because
that even though we both kind of come from these different periods, we both have kind of similar memories attached to them.
Right? Because like I mean, there's still those similar memories, and then also similar games. Like
do you are you heavily involved with Tetris?
I used to be.
Oh, dude. What's funny is I found my freshman year of high school recorded 6 voice journals over the course of the month of March.
Right.
Which first of all, I knew I wasn't a very well-behaved kid, but actually hearing from my own mouth being like, "Yeah, I should probably do my work in this class, but I got a new high score on Tetris, so I think I'm winning here." First of all, what a dork and what a loser. More importantly, but second of all,
so we'll determine if you were a loser or a dork.
Okay.
By one simple question.
Okay.
Okay. Did you use the tap method for Tetris?
What's the tap method?
Okay, then you are not a loser or a dork when it comes down to Tetris.
What's the tap method?
So there was a method invented. I can't remember what his name is. But
we'll call him Doug.
Yeah, where they would take a glove to reduce friction and then turn their controller over and then like tap, like hit it so you can move the piece faster and drop it faster.
Yeah, that sounds stupid. Like, how are you min-maxing Tetris? Like, just get good at the game. No, we used to use what's funny is we used to use this website called HTML Tetris because it was the only one that wasn't blocked on our Chromebooks in school. And we'd like, arrows to get to move them and rotate them and then space to drop it down immediately, right? But that was it. There's no hold feature on HTML Tetris. So we were playing, me and my group of buddies had a competition to see who could get the highest score. And eventually they blocked that version of Tetris, but for some reason the actual Tetris website was unblocked after a while. So we started playing actual Tetris, where you had the hold option to hold a block. And 2 out of the 6 of them, 2 out of the 5 of us actually dropped out of the competition of who could get the highest score because they were like, that hold feature is cheating. Like, dude, this is official Tetris. As far as I know, don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure hold's been in it for as long as Tetris has been around. If anything, not having the hold feature was the cheating version. And they just opted out, stopped playing entirely because we were like, well, you're cheating. You have a hold button.
Yeah, I feel like they opted out of it. But I'm going to show you a video.
Okay.
Of the how pros play Tetris.
Sometimes I get worried that I get too devoted to the things I'm into and take the dork stance.
Right.
And then I see things like that, and it makes me feel better about myself.
That you're not even close.
No, yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like that made
If
me
you
feel
better.
like less of a nerd, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm not devoting myself enough.
Yeah, step your game up.
I need to step my game up. I got to start tailoring my controllers.
Well, speaking about like nerd and pushing that, what do you think about speedruns?
I think they're cool. I've never really been super into them as far as like I've never wanted to attempt one myself. It's never interested me.
Yeah.
I've never watched one myself. They've never interested me. But as something that's like as part of the community, I think that I actually had a guy I used to work with who was a speedrunner. I can't remember what his tag was, or else I'd promote him. Honestly, he was really good at it. But he holds the record. I think at one point he had the fastest speedrun on Sonic 06.
Okay.
Which is crazy. That's the one that he picked because that game sucks. But
which is wild. That like I'll get into that, but continue.
I think right now he's number 3, at least as far as I know. It's been a couple years since I talked to him, I think. But I actually knew a speedrunner, and it was really kind of cool getting his input on like, getting good at it. The time it takes and all that stuff. It was really interesting to hear about. But like I said, I've never really been interested myself. I have seen clips from a couple here and there.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Minecraft ones just because obviously that's kind of the circles I'm in. But yeah, they're cool. What do you think about them?
I like speedrunners. I think it's cool in the way that they have to like understand a game so much to be able to do those things. But I like speedrunners for the reason of a collective knowledge that there is so many hours collectively put into this game for people to be able to do these things and understand these things that are used to do these games really fast.
Yeah.
It takes a level in understanding of a game and appreciation of it to a point that you have to like go through everything and find these little things.
Yeah.
Like you have to be passionate and love the game.
Yeah.
To do it.
For sure.
You can't just like pull off a game and like this is okay. You got to really enjoy it.
I've always wanted to have like that level of dedication to video games, to be honest with you, especially because like circling back to Minecraft for a second, like that's always been something that like you look at people who've been playing Minecraft for years, who are ridiculous good. Especially I've in more recent years gotten fond of watching hardcore plays. People like there's one guy I'm watching right now called Nuts. He's not doing a hardcore, but it's like his whole thing is he's doing a challenge where he's purposely limiting himself in his progression to try to experience every part of Minecraft that some parts get like neglected. Like he one of the goals he set for himself is he has to get every type of rideable creature. So like he had like there's like a rare chance that there's like I think it's like a less than 10% chance that you can get a donkey that has like 4 slots on a chest or something like that, or a llama, whatever. And he kept breeding them until he got one. Like he's collecting everything. Right. It's really cool to watch stuff like that. And like part of me has always been like, I wish I could be dedicated enough to do even a hardcore play. I've never done hardcore. Right. The only games I've ever 100% have been the Insomniac Spider-Man games. I've 100% the first one 7 times, and I've 100% the second one. I think 3 times, and then I've never gotten the platinum for Miles Morales because I never completed a New Game Plus. So I think I've only done that one once, but I need to go back and play that because I remember that game being a lot of fun.
I think I did. I've only completed one game that was 100%. It was like I think it was called Prototype.
Isn't the one where you get superpowers?
Yeah,
I've heard of that.
Like a symbiotic kind of thing.
I've heard of that game. It looked really cool.
Yeah.
Talking away. I don't know what to say. I'll say it anyway. Today is not the day to find you talking away. I'll be looking for your love, okay? Take on me. Take on me.
Take me on.
Take on me.
I'll be gone
in a day or 2. crushed that.
Yeah.
I know it's going at the beginning of the episode.
Oh man. But
Butter.
Butter. Oh, I feel better. Kind of going through. We got a little bit of like the background.
Here, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So you say you have an older brother who
2.
Oh, okay. Who I need to learn more about you.
Yeah.
I talk about myself too much. I gotta learn. I gotta shut up and listen every once in a while.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But it sounds to me like you got that treatment that most younger brothers get, that I also got, of the I'm more important. It's my turn on the Xbox. You have to go run to mom. Were you ever forced into being player 2?
No.
He wouldn't even let you play to be player 2.
He wouldn't even let me play player 2.
I really like a lot of second player characters for that reason.
Yeah.
I like Tails more than Sonic.
Okay.
I like
Tails more than Sonic too.
Robin more than Batman. As I mentioned Lego Batman earlier. Me and my brother played so much Lego Batman,
Batman.
Lego Batman on the Xbox 360 together, and he always wanted to be Batman. And I was cool with that. I actually liked Robin more because I think at the time we were watching a lot of the Teen Titans show that was coming out. Well, I guess not anymore because I think this has been like 2008, 9-ish. We were playing a lot of Lego Batman, and I loved Robin. I thought Robin was so cool. And I honestly think that being forced into being player 2 in Lego Batman is what drove my love for Nightwing, because he's also an unlockable character in the first game, but you can't get him until like way toward the end.
Yeah.
And I was super curious as a kid, like, who is this random guy with this crazy hairstyle and these blue sticks? And my dad's like, well, that's
dumpy
Nightwing.
of a butt.
Well, he's a Lego minifigure, so you can't see the dumpy in the game.
Lame.
But, I was curious about it. My dad was like, oh, that's, when Robin grows up, he becomes Nightwing. And I was like, well, I'm kind of like Robin now, so maybe when I grow up, I could be Nightwing. And you've seen it. I have a Nightwing costume in the same closet I have those Game Boys.
Yeah. It's a closet of fun things.
Yeah, I also have bow and arrow. I have multiple sealed Lego sets. And I also have, I don't think, you know what? I'm just going to say this.
Okay.
I'm just going to say this. Actually, I'm not going to say this because I have a surprise in my closet that is one of the coolest things that I own right now, but it's a gift that I got super early. So technically, I own it right now, but it's intended to go to somebody else.
Oh, gotcha.
You know what it is.
I understand.
I want to say what it is, but
in the off chance that
they'll hear it.
Yeah.
As far as I know, they've only listened to episode 1, so I don't think they. Yeah, I know. I don't think they would hear it, but just in case, I won't say it. But I will once I give it to them. I will certainly brag about that. So
they don't even know that you goon. That's wild.
Okay. I need you to not say that. I need you to not say that because I don't, and I'm not a gooner. I promise. I'm
not a gooner.
I solemnly swear I am not a gooner.
Oh, but yeah. I was never a player 2. I think that I would have liked to be a player 2, but
you can be my player 2.
Thank you. But either way, no, there was like a lot of games that I played that like were multiplayer. I remember playing the original GoldenEye.
I've heard a lot about that game, but I've never.
It was so cool. I was in the age where screen peeking was like a huge no.
We had a little bit of that, but I didn't really play a whole lot of games with my brothers where screen peeking was a problem.
Yeah, like we played Halo, like the original Halo, and we used to have we had a big TV, and we would like hijack it from my parents.
Real.
And we would tape.
No.
Cardboard.
You're kidding. To the TV?
To the TV. And then one would sit above it, and the other one would sit below it.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Dude,
so
that's dedication.
You couldn't screen peek. Because regardless of how good the other person was, or...
It's a huge advantage to see where your opponent is.
Not even that. Even if you had like I'm not going to screen peek, you're not going to screen peek. And if I outplay you, man, you were screen peeking.
That is
You're
very
freaking
true,
screen peeking. No, I wasn't. I'm just better than you.
Maybe I'm just good at the game.
Right. Nope. Screen peeking.
Yeah, we had that a little bit.
Yeah, it was just like we taped that up there.
Mm-hmm.
We got in trouble for it because we were like, "You're damaging the TV." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's just tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we never got that dedicated because the only game that we ever really play. Okay, I'm just gonna set the record straight now.
Right.
I think I said this the last time we brought up video games, but I want to just as bluntly say this: I am disgustingly addicted to Minecraft, and I have been for a little over 10 years.
Yeah.
I actually think actually that's not true. Okay, you want to hear a story time real quick?
Yes.
Sorry.
Story time.
Okay, so I found Minecraft in 2012.
Okay.
And I know it was 2012 because there was a specific house we were living in at the time whenever my dad finally let me play Minecraft. And I know we were there in 2012. And I remember the reason I was able to get Minecraft, right, is because at the time it was starting to blow up, right? That's when it was really starting to get the traction. It was getting covered on YouTube a lot. A lot of kids my age were like, Minecraft is the coolest thing in the world. And I was like, what's Minecraft? I started watching YouTube videos. I started watching. Shout out to Dan TDM, dude, the GOAT. He is the GOAT. Everyone's always like, I liked Popular MMOs. I liked Skyland's Minecraft. No, Dan TDM is and always will be the Minecraft YouTuber GOAT. But there was a website that all the kids at my school at the time loved to go to called keepbusy.net.
Okay.
I will never forget. They always had a crazy picture of the day on the homepage, and one day I got on and watched, and it was a picture of a dog licking the inside of a woman's mouth. And,
gross.
Yep, and it's been forever stained into my. I can see the picture right now in my head.
That's gross.
Really gross. But they had a game on there called Mind Blocks, which was the first of many Minecraft rip-offs that I found.
Yeah.
But it was like a 2D, kind of Terraria-like as far as like the way it worked and moved.
Okay.
But it was kind of like if Terraria was actually a Minecraft. Because a lot of people say it's a Minecraft rip-off, but like if you look into it, it's really not.
No.
But it's like if Terraria actually was a Minecraft rip-off, like straight up.
I like Terraria.
And I loved it so much. We used to have to go to after school. They called it latchkey there.
Yeah.
Because my parents had to work, they couldn't pick us up on time, right? So
yeah, I had the same thing.
So we would go to latchkey, and we'd get a snack, and then we'd go up to the computer lab and go on Keep Busy.
Yeah.
One day, during snack, somebody took the last banana chocolate chunk benefit bar.
Was it you?
No.
Oh.
And that was the problem.
Oh.
I looked at them, and I said, give me the last banana chocolate chunk benefit bar.
Yeah.
And you'll never guess what they said.
They said, yes, Camden, you can have this.
No. They told me no. They said I grabbed it first, which adult Camden, in retrospect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very fair. But,
Child
Camden was a different
Child Camden does
beast.
weird things.
A lot of weird things. Like throw a chair across the cafeteria because he didn't get a banana chocolate chunk.
Valid crash out, actually.
And so obviously because of that, I had to be
punished.
Detained, yeah. So they took me up to the principal's office. And I am screaming. I'm thrashing about. I didn't even do anything wrong. He wouldn't give me the benefit bar. I'm like crashing out. Like the most like
valid.
No, it's not really not. No. But I'm losing my mind to the point where they had to call the cops. I'm now remembering.
You had the cops called on you
yes,
over
I
a
did.
freaking
Well, I was losing. I think I threatened to kill the teacher.
over a
Well, it was a progression. It was give me the benefit bar. No, I'm gonna throw this chair. I need to take you upstairs. Don't take me upstairs. You're in trouble. No, I'm not. I'm going to suspend you. I'll kill you. So they called the cops. And then my dad showed up, and I'm losing it. Like I'm actually like flipping out. I'm screaming. I'm panicking. The cops are like, let me tell you why you can't do this. And I'm like, how about you go to hell? I didn't say that, but I was definitely like the child version of that.
Yeah.
So eventually they get to the point where I'm able to calm down, and this talk's happening of like, you cannot ever react like this. It's horrible. And I start crying.
Valid.
So my my dad's like, well, now why are you crying? Are you upset? Are you realizing you did something wrong? You know, are you remorseful? What are the tears for? And I'm like, if I'm not here, I can't play Mind Blocks on keepbusy.com.
Yeah. You literally said keepbusy.com?
Yep. I remember this part very like vividly. And my dad's like, that's what you're upset about? And I'm like, yeah, because I can't play Minecraft at home. And now I can't play Mind Blocks. You know what? I kind of feel bad for my dad.
Yeah.
But no, so after I got this whole talk, I got everything, you know, figured out, situated, you know, kicked out of after school, took me home and installed Minecraft on his computer. Pretty sure he pirated it. And he was like,
no,
here,
he didn't.
Here.
No, he didn't. He bought it. Licensed.
Yes, he sure did.
Yep.
My dad has never even met Jack Sparrow. But I just remember being, even as a kid, like, am I getting rewarded? I'm pretty sure what I did was wrong.
Yes, what you did was wrong, Kevin.
Pretty sure what I did was wrong. I think looking back, it was kind of like my poor dad had a lot going on, and I was, as you can tell by that story, a very troubled child.
If I had a child who crashed out that hard.
Yeah. So it was probably just like a, please just calm down type thing of just like basically the equivalent of an iPad kid now. Now that I say it out loud.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I have a genuine question.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Okay. Did you ever have one of those, what was it called? A bar? Like what bar?
A bar of soap in my mouth for swearing?
The banana chocolate.
Oh, benefit bar?
Yeah. Did you ever get one of those after?
Yeah. I've had a fair few, many since then, yeah.
Did you feel
I've also had one before, by the way. That's why I was so upset about it, because I loved them so much, and he took the last one.
Did you feel satisfaction after eating that after the crash out? Did you have like a...
You know what?
I've
never thought about that. I don't remember.
Yeah, moment, you know?
I don't remember, but I'd like to venture as far as to say, yes, they're that worth it. Have you ever had a benefit bar?
I don't like banana.
You don't like banana?
I don't.
You're a whore.
I am a whore, but I don't like banana.
You're about to see a young Camden crash out right now. You don't like banana?
No.
How do you not like banana?
I don't know.
What, are you scared of potassium?
I like bananas.
Potassium.
Ooh. I like bananas. The fruit bananas. I like them.
Benefit bars are made with actual banana. They're like a healthy thing. That's why they served them in school.
Never had a benefit bar, though. But either way.
That explains a lot about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just kind of like, I don't like artificial banana flavoring. But you and my significant other.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember that's one of the first things that we bonded over. She had bought those like the peelable ones. and was so excited to share them, and you're like, those are gross. And I was like, dude, I'll take the whole thing if you'll let me. She was like, no, I'm gonna take at least half. Those are so good. We were supposed to share them with everybody, and everyone took at least one, and then I think me and her split the rest.
Fun fact, thinking about bonding over things like that, she had Mike and Ike's last night.
Okay.
And there's a pineapple banana one.
Oh, I don't like pineapple.
She absolutely loves, and she said, I was like, you gonna give Cannon one? She was like, no, these are mine.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's valid.
Yeah.
I feel probably about how you feel about banana with pineapple, but just as a whole, I don't really care for pineapple.
After this long tangent that we went on.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think that, like, this is a nerd show. We have main topics for a reason. These are the things we're discussing. But I think part of the fun of it is, any other nerd show is an option. So we got to let our personality shine through, have a little fun every once in a while. Tell stories about crashing out over a benefit bar and pooping in urinals. You're not going to get that anywhere else. You get that right here on the Variety Voiceover Nerdcast. You're welcome.
Meow, meow, meow.
I can put in an actual air horn.
But kind of going in there and progressing the conversation, then I would like to understand your viewpoint on what do you think about the current state of games in general.
I think it's gotten a lot more complicated, but for both good and bad reasons. I like the fact that PC gaming has become such a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that helps with I I don't know the word I'm looking for, customizability, I guess, or something of the nature, where with consoles you're a lot more limited to here's what you got. Versus with like PC gaming, you get like mods, all that stuff. I got a buddy who's super into it. He spent like $3,000 or so on his gaming PC.
Insane.
He let me play modded Spider-Man on there once.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's a good feeling. Modded Spider-Man, I'll tell you what.
Especially on good like monitors and having a good keyboard and everything like that.
He has he has a $500 like ultra wide monitor.
Uh-huh.
Dude, that was banging.
Good hertz rate, refresh rate.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Crisp.
I do like. I like that, price has become more of a conversation point as of late because of the Nintendo Switch 2.
Ugh, gross.
I agree, but I like that it's making us talk about it because I do think, and I have for a while, that $70 even for a game is kind of ridiculous.
Yes.
I think they were able to justify it because of how, games are a lot bigger now. A lot more work goes into them. There's a lot that goes into it, but in the same breath, that's a lot of money to drop on a video game, especially
on a singular video game.
Exactly, especially if it's something that you don't. Like I said, we were talking about Mortal Kombat a couple times on here. I wanted that game when it came out. Right. The second Omni-Man was announced, I wanted to get that game. I may already be over my Mortal Kombat kick.
Yeah, and
to have paid full price for that game and already be over it.
Yeah,
I said the only games I've really ever 100% are Spider-Man because it's one of the only ones who I'm like, and obviously it's because I'm that dedicated to Spider-Man, not because I'm dedicated to the game.
Right.
I think trying to fork over that much money for something that you don't even know you'll like. I feel similarly to movies now. I love movies. I love movies so much, and I want to go see more. But I typically only really go see superhero movies and the big stuff. Like I saw Sonic 3, I saw a Minecraft movie, stuff like that, because those are things I already know I like, and I won't waste my money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend $15 on a ticket to go watch a movie I'm not going to like. Or worse yet, I haven't done it yet. But worse yet, get a ticket to a movie I'm going to walk out of. $15 to pay for a movie that you're not even going to watch, not even including tax or snacks or fees and whatever.
It was so expensive when we went to the Minecraft movie.
I think it's ridiculous. And I said, it's very similar about games, but it's even worse because they're much more expensive. I'm not going to drop $70 on a game I might play once.
Right.
And
that's the thing. Like, I do a lot of like research before I buy a game. But to kind of go into it and why... I think it's a good aspect on why those things feel a little stale to you. I don't feel like the industry is like that. Facts, valid. But the industry is not pushing anything anymore. Like, in their fears of a game failing, they're not pushing.
That's what
inventiveness. Like they're not pushing ingenuity.
Which is why when you get things like Baldur's Gate.
Right,
it blows up and it's this huge, awesome, amazing thing because even though Baldur's Gate's based on like D&D,
right,
like the format of it, the way the game is played, is something that isn't done super often. B, done to that scale, and C, done that well. So when all those came together with Baldur's Gate 3, it won Game of the Year that year.
Which is wild because and it's funny that you brought up Baldur's Gate 3 because there was a bunch of studios that bashed them and tried to push out like different
Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance.
No, they were trying to push out like this is an outlier. This is not what the game industry is supposed to be right now. Like they were trying to push mediocrity and saying that this is not what games are supposed to be. This is just like a
standout.
A standout. And they were trying to downplay their the way that they were able to achieve such a fantastic game by being a little risky, being a little, outside of the box and not trying to push the same regurgitated stuff.
Yeah, one of the best gaming experiences of that year.
Right. And I think that's what happens whenever people do get out of the box and not push the same exact game over and over and over again, is you get those things like Baldur's Gate 3. But at the same time, if a studio does that and it flops,
you never get anything like that again.
The studio's gone.
Oh yeah, you go back to the Call of Duties, the sports games, and DLC.
Yep.
I do think that a fantastic solution to this that's been introduced in recent years is those catalogs. There's the PlayStation catalog and there's the Xbox Game Pass.
Yes.
Where you pay a certain subscription amount, which a lot of the time now, like there's Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is your live subscription service, as well as this catalog, where you get access. I don't want to say free because you have to pay for the access to it, but essentially you're paying for your online subscription and with it get a free catalog of so many games.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's a great solution to the problem that I have of like, you know what, if I go on the PlayStation catalog and I decide, you know, for example, I really wanted to play Until Dawn.
Okay.
It looked really cool. I had heard it's essentially a video game version of like a slasher movie.
Yeah.
With the bad guy being a Wendigo.
Yeah.
I think those are really cool. Unfortunately, the problem with that though is that I don't like playing scary games by myself. And I've only had my girlfriend sit down and play with me one time.
Yeah.
I could not convince her to do it again, so I just ended up deleting the game, unfortunately. But I really wanted to get the remake.
Yeah.
But I was like, why would I fork over that much money if I'm not going to like it?
Until Dawn was a fantastic game.
Fortunately, they had the PS4 version on Game Catalog. So I started playing it through there.
I feel like the 5's better.
It would be, but I didn't want to pay for the full version. So I played the 4 version thinking if I like this, I'll buy the PS5 version. And something like that I think is great because obviously that's two different versions, but something like that, like, you know, I've had games where they, like, when I was still playing Xbox, they had Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on there. And I love the Marvel vs. Capcom games, especially 2, 3, and 3 Ultimate.
Yeah.
Infinite kind of sucks. I've never played the first one. But I loved it. I got so good at it. I was playing all the time. My main team was Deadpool, Nova, and Zero.
Okay.
And I got really good at it, and then they took it off Game Pass. So I actually went and bought Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And I actually still have it on my Xbox downstairs. I don't really use that Xbox anymore, but I can play whenever I want because I got to try it through Game Pass. I love that format. I think the other thing I wanted to touch on is I hate that stuff gets revealed so early and never touched. I had a conversation with this today with my buddy. You know, Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember when they announced that? 2018.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
We've gotten nothing since then. We just know that it's happening.
But Oblivion just gotta.
I did want to touch on that too. We can get to that in a second because that's actually really cool. That's part of the price point thing I wanted to talk about. Elder Scrolls was the first one I thought of because it was so bad. But the other one that I was thinking about today, which actually sparked that part of the conversation, was Insomniac is making a Wolverine game.
Okay.
They announced the Wolverine game at the same time they announced Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 2 has already come and gone. It's been out for, what, almost 2 years? Almost 3 years? What year did that come out? 23? Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years that game's already been out. Not even just like trailer, you know.
It's full release.
Fully out for 2 whole years.
And
it was announced at the same exact time Wolverine has, and we haven't even gotten a trailer for that game.
Which is insane.
I understand, like, you got to build hype, whatever, but part of me is like, why would you even tell us that's going to happen if we're not going to get it forever? And so many times people reveal stuff like that, and then it never happens.
You mean like GTA 6?
Yeah, but that's finally actually happening. They're keeping in the line of like superhero stuff. There was a Wonder Woman game that was supposed to be coming out. And I think that because, I don't know if this is for sure or not, but I'm pretty sure because of the failure that was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, they just canceled that game.
Probably.
So many people were excited for this game and it just got canned.
Which kind of brings into the fact that like studios cannot take risks. You know, and I think that pretty much creates a static, you know, genre, and like we're in the age that we have the ability to make such great games, but we don't have the money and the balls to do it.
Oh yeah, like even like I am the comic guy, so I don't feel so bad keeping with. I talk so much about superhero games, but that's like aside from Minecraft, that's mainly what I play. But I saw somebody make. It's crazy watching other people make these games, like fan games that are just like for the sake of like, can I do this? Yeah, I can. So make a YouTube video out of it, you know. But like, I watched a guy a couple days ago make a Daredevil game where all he really did was he took the like a small chunk of the city from Spider-Man
Uh-huh.
and the Daredevil skin from Fortnite and use that as like put this in here, we'll put some animations in here, the parkour, the sling with the billy club, combat, quick little level. And watching it in action once he completed it, watching this Daredevil game was so cool. I've seen the same thing happen before with Flash games. So many people say that the Flash could never have a video game like the Speedster. I realize Flash game is actually a thing. I guess not anymore. Flash is gone. But of the Flash video game, you know?
Yeah.
And watching people on YouTube, just amateur game makers or animators, whatever, making games that these studios just refuse to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons that like indie games are so goddamn popular right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Schedule 1 released not too long ago.
Undertale's
a good one too. But Schedule 1 is like number 5 on Steam downloads. It's a $20 game.
Mm-hmm.
And it has like hundreds of millions of downloads.
Oh, yeah. And stuff that's...
And it's made by one guy.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah.
One singular guy.
I love stuff like that where these individual creator games are getting that type of recognition. Like I said it as a joke just then, but like you can't deny Undertale.
Right.
Like I said, that whole thing was made by one guy, and it was one of the biggest games of that year, of that decade, even really. Mm-hmm. In recent history, you had like Among Us, Lethal Company. There's that new game that's going around right now, Repo. Like that, where these are just small. And then obviously, like I liked Five Nights at Freddy's a lot growing up, and you look at that fan game scene, and there's probably because mainly it's an easy game to replicate, honestly. But like, there's so many different people like throwing their hat in the ring of just like I could make a fan game.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna do it. And I love seeing that kind of interaction from the community of just like, you know, if you have the talent and you want to put it to use, like people will come.
Yeah.
You know,
build it, they will come. What do you think? What would you like video games to become?
I would really like more leaning into VR, to be honest with you.
I think so.
I have a Quest 2 that I've been playing for a real long time, and I love VR so much, but I feel like as of right now, it's still just a slept-on genre. I think especially with Meta buying out Quest, which first of all, stupid, but I think with Meta buying out Quest, they kind of brought VR a little closer to the forefront. You know, PlayStation has the PSVR 1 and 2. So it's like it's getting a little bit more recognition now, and hopefully more of a push in that direction. But I feel like, as far as like console and PC gaming goes, we've kind of hit a point where, visually and gameplay wise, they've kind of reached a peak.
Right.
You know, they could keep getting progressively better, but like you look at something on like the PS4 versus like the PS5, and the upgrade is not as dramatic as say to like the PS3 to the PS4, or even the PS2 to the PS3. So I think delving more into VR gaming, you know, making that look better, run better, stuff like that. Like I think even though it's come a long way, VR is still in its early stages, and I think that if we don't give it more attention and kind of lean more toward that part, it'll stay there. You know,
which is fair. I agree. I think VR is the future of gaming as a whole, not even just as like that, but allowing it to be more of like a realistic thing. I like the idea of having that like that dome, that room.
Oh yeah,
where you go
being able
into.
to just like, look around. I did. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's like native to it. We've talked about before about the VR version of Five Nights at Freddy's. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But that's a really easy game. And even then, that could look better. Obviously, it can't run. It can't run like something like a PC can because it's limited to what's in there.
Right.
You know? You go to PC gaming or VR gaming, whatever. That's a different conversation. But as far as like native, you know, but I once played. There's a Star Wars game that came out called Star Wars Squadrons.
Okay.
Where the whole point of it is you're actually in the cockpit of like Star Wars ships. Yeah. And I actually bought the whole bundle where it's Star Wars Battlefront 2, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and Star Wars Squadrons.
Okay.
But my computer's not really powered enough to play any of them. Squadrons was looking small enough that I could run it, and I connected my VR headset to it, and I could run it, and it looked super cool. But I could only play keyboard and mouse. So I have the VR headset on, and I'm still like this, like moving, you know, the click to this, you know, whatever, move this way. It's like takes out your immersion. Especially because I was in an X-Wing and a TIE Fighter where they have the two things like this. I was sitting in a chair much like this with the two arm sides. Yeah. Dude, put the controllers down like this, mate. Let me do it this way. Dude, that would feel so real. It'd be so awesome. But it just didn't work. Yeah. You know?
I like the idea of having like that whole bubble game room and having that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I think that it's going to be very interesting to think about, especially because like technology is like a compounding.
Every time I hear the word technology, I think about that one line. It's like, why are people
Technology.
so scared of technology? Technology!
Oh,
He like just throws a sign
Yeah.
at them.
yeah. I've never seen it.
You're so old.
I am old. But like technology like progresses so quickly and just I imagine in the next 5 to 10 years,
Mhm.
video games will just be crazy.
I hope so. I hope it's not, because honestly, it feels like, aside from the things like here and there, like gaming in the last couple of years has become so stagnant.
Uh-huh.
Most games feel very similar to each other.
Right.
I want more diversity in my games.
I agree. But I think we've come to a conclusion of our topic today. I think
I agree.
it was cool. I enjoy video games. I'm gonna always love video games, and I'm excited for the future.
Fact, no cap.
Fact, no cap. But let's get into our challenge today.
All right, bet.
So I challenged you
Yes.
last week to watch 5 episodes of Freerun, and I apologize to everything
Yeah.
before. I thought it was Journey's
Journey
End.
Beyond, you said.
Journey Beyond. No, it's actually Beyond Journey's End.
Yes.
So Freerun Beyond Journey's End.
Yes.
5 episodes. What'd you think?
I actually really liked it. I it was a hard sell at first because the first episode dragged, I feel. I think
I disagree.
I think starting it at the end made it a little hard to grasp right away because
Okay.
obviously you're which is the point, but you're setting in after all the character development's already happened. Which bold choice, but I really like that because something that I've noticed in my personal life a lot is like you go through happy endings your entire life, but it
Right.
keeps going. And that's kind of the point of this show of, with her being an elf and everyone else, not everyone else, but most of the people around her being human, she lives way past the rest of them.
Uh-huh.
So I really like the fact that the whole point of this show is the happy ending is where it starts,
Yeah.
and then it keeps going.
Yeah.
But like I said, after that first episode, once we got to learn these characters and learn a little bit more about Freerun, and watch her journey as she almost starts to realize that these people she kind of just didn't really let matter
I think
mattered a lot more to her than
She absolutely
realized.
took him for granted.
Oh, 1000%,
Absolutely took
yeah.
him for granted.
And I think she's trying to make up for that.
Right. And like I want to preface, especially because I watched 5 episodes. I don't have any knowledge about what comes after these 5 episodes, so I have my whole knowledge is just this.
Okay.
And I'm consuming the media with you as well, and I genuinely enjoyed it. I like the idea of an after the end kind of thing, because we always have that, like you said, the happy ending, and nothing comes after it. It's like it's just like a save the day.
Yeah, I remember thinking in the 8th grade, like I had so much stuff go perfectly for me up to that point. Like my life was like, yeah, this is it. And now here I am. I turned 21 this year. I'm well past the 8th grade, and a lot more stuff happened. More endings have happened since then, and I'm still going. It's
Right.
like as I said, it's something that really reminisced with me of that specific thing of there's more after the happy ending. Is something I've actively thought about for a lot of my life.
Yeah, and as it goes and breaks down, like I like the idea of what elves are in a fantasy setting. Because of how long they live.
And we don't really think about that a whole lot.
No.
Because I know part of like when we play D&D together, my character's a half elf.
Right.
I think my character's like, I don't know offhand, but like 50 something for the sake of like, he's a younger elf.
Right.
But, elves live for a while type thing, So it's like, and you don't even think about the fact that like, if he is around that age, we'll say like 50 for the sake of it. If he's 50, he has known our party for a smidgen of his life already.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think about. That like I said, isn't talked about a whole lot because there's no reason to.
Yeah, it's very much of a blink in his existence.
Yeah.
As for Richard, who is a human.
I can assure you, Xylus will never forget about Richard.
Yeah, you're gonna put statues up about me.
Xylus is gonna get a Richard tattoo. It's just gonna be a sandwich.
Yeah.
A sandwich on his left, like bicep.
It needs to be on your buttocks.
You're right. Richard would want a tramp stamp.
Yeah, I would. Yes, that's going to be a canon event in this campaign.
Oh, jeez.
But just kind of going in there, I genuinely enjoyed the anime.
I did too.
I like the idea of like the elves and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, in the fantasy setting, where it comes down to their aging and being so much slower than everything around it, and like it brings them the whole like immortality thing, like the whole like watching everyone you love around you die.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting watching her begin to deal with that, because it seems like even though that she's old, she doesn't seem to have had any experience aside from the one we see in the first episode that like mattered that much to her. She hasn't gotten that close to that people like that before, that their deaths have impacted them the way they have. And what's really sad is watching this go by and watching her learn, but there's nothing she can do to go back. Every episode starts with, it's been this long since Himmel's death.
Yeah.
And that's so sad.
Yeah. It's like, I think by the time we got to it, I think it was like 38 years after he died.
Something like that, yeah.
Like 38 years after.
Yeah, good anime. I challenged you to read Batman Year One.
It was a great comic.
I agree. I know I like Batman a fair bit. I do think, to be perfectly honest with you, Batman is very overrated.
He is, absolutely.
But he's, overrated does not mean bad. He is a great character. I love Batman. But I loved this story particularly a lot more than I thought I was going to.
I agree.
I will be perfectly honest with you. Okay? Because it also goes into my next challenge a little bit.
Shoot me straight.
I have had a horrible, horrible week. A lot of terrible things happened this week.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I didn't actually have time to sit down and read it.
Yeah.
This is one of the ones that I gave you in the intention to read with you, and then obviously wasn't able. So today, as of recording, before we came together, I was trying to find some kind of way of like bullet points that I knew what I was talking about, right?
Right.
And I found that DC is currently doing a thing called DC High Volume, where they're adapting their comics into audio dramas.
Which is awesome.
And the very first one they did was Batman Year One.
Hell yeah.
So I actually got the chance to listen to it, almost verbatim.
Right.
It's voice acted, the sound effects and everything, and I don't know if that made the difference or not, but I was so invested, so enthralled. Watching a younger Batman try to come into who the Batman is, super interesting. Watching the perspective of both Gordon and Batman coincide and watch them connect.
I loved that part. Was like in a Batman comic, obviously Gordon he's big in the story. I imagine comic book wise.
Oh yeah, I mean, Commissioner Gordon is a huge thing.
In the movies, I didn't like he was like a side character.
Well, yeah,
but
that's the role that he fills.
Right, but like it was very much a 50-50 freaking shot with this thing.
And I think that was the right call. I think it was really interesting watching them go. They're both new to Gotham essentially, and they're both, watching this corruption, learning how it's affecting the people, and actively going against it, and watching as that makes their two paths cross.
Right.
Which
is crazy because like there was a part in it that I liked but I didn't like when they had to go be beyond means to catch him. And they're like, we're gonna burn this building.
Yeah, this whole building's going to hell. Like
it was set for demolish, and the only people that might do it are gonna be
the homeless. Yeah,
like you're just gonna kill.
No one's gonna miss them anyway.
Right.
But no, I completely agree. I think it's great, and the fact that I think part of what put Batman on Commissioner Gordon's, not Commissioner, but Gordon's like map of like, no, I think we need and can trust this guy, is the fact that he saved the cat in that building.
Right.
Ultimately, in the grand scheme, you could argue that cat's life doesn't matter. The goal there is to protect a human. That's goal number one. And on top of that, yourself. And Batman's in a position right then and there where he's pretty much screwed from every angle.
Right.
So the fact that even though he was putting himself in harm's way, he still saved a cat of all things. And that kind of showed that his character a lot of like, while everyone else here is corrupt, there's so many vigilantes, or not vigilantes, but like evil corruption in Gotham, this guy is willing to save a cat before himself.
Right.
You know, I liked that a lot.
I agree. I think that it's a good telling of Batman as a character, and really getting all those values set. And I really want to read more about
I like a lot too in here that they show a lot of flaws.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon has almost an affair.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really goes that. I don't know if the kiss counts as an affair or not, but like definitely shouldn't have done that.
Kind of, yeah.
You know, that's messed up.
Yeah.
Also, I'm super curious to know. I'd like to read Batman Year 2. There's a Year 2.
Okay.
I think it's a direct sequel to this. Maybe I'm not as well informed.
Okay.
Jim Gordon's never had a son. He has a daughter, and her name is Barbara. Her name is Barbara Gordon, and she is Batgirl / Oracle, who, once she gets shot, is paralyzed and can't be Batgirl anymore, so she becomes essentially Batman's guy in the chair.
Huh.
But But Barbara is the name of his wife, and he has a son in this story named Jim.
Huh.
And I found that super interesting, and I'd like to know more about that. If that's like because this is like a one-off spin-off thing,
right,
or what the case may be, or, you know, I just found that super interesting. And I it was nice as someone who knows Batman fairly well, that the whole time he's like, yeah, I hope it's a boy. You know, I'm praying it's a boy. He told us about it's a boy. It's going to be a boy. I was going to be like, oh, plot twist, it's a girl. It's Barbara.
Right.
I was like, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if she's going to die while she's pregnant, and then she goes to the other girl and names his daughter after his dead wife. That's where Barbara Gordon comes in, you know? I had all these different like ideas, and it was like, no, Barbara's the wife, Jim is the son. Okay.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super interesting. So.
That's awesome. But
you ready to give our new challenges?
Yes.
All right. What do I got?
I want you to watch 5 episodes of one of the most prolific and iconic animes out there.
Big Time Rush.
No.
Oh.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay, I've heard of that one before. I had a buddy who was watching that one time when I was at his house, and it looked pretty interesting.
It's probably on at least the top 5 of most people's anime lists.
Okay. 5 episodes, huh? Is that the one with little boys in a big robot suit?
Or
something
sure.
like that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's definitely in the robot suit.
Oh.
And it's a you're gonna have a fun time.
It's like my uncle. You, sir, are part of the terrible week. Is I did not have the time or ability to get a new comic for you. I'm trying to pivot
Sorry.
Okay. I'm trying to pivot more into like essential comic book stories. Yeah. You know, that's why, you know, we had Dark Phoenix not last week, but, you know, prior, and Batman Year 1 for this one. I had a couple stories in mind I wanted to get for you, and I was not able to. So this week, I'm just pulling from my collection. We're taking a step back to Invincible, but instead of just picking up with Volume 4, I'm going to give you a spinoff.
Okay.
There aren't that many spinoffs in Invincible, but this one is the most direct spinoff because it has... This is Invincible presents Adam Eve and Rexplode #1, the trade. It includes Adam Eve's spinoff of the number 1 and 2, as well as the actual Rexplode and Adam Eve 1 through 3. So there's 5 issues in here.
Is that? I know that they did a spinoff for the actual show.
Yes, that is basically the first 2 issues of this.
Okay,
and then after that, it's Adam Eve and Rexplode, which people are saying might happen because there's a whole thing that the in the diner and the tease or whatever, but we might be getting an Adam Eve and Rexplode special as well. So
the whole damn skeleton.
Don't say that. The back cover to this has even Rex kissing and Mark's in the background like, no, don't do that. No, do that. That's my girlfriend. But yeah, this is your comic for this week. Invincible presents Adam Eve and Rexplode.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to read it.
I think
it's time
to roll for ending. It's a nat 1. It's a nat. What's that one? No ending.